Welcome to the Killer Innovation Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney.
Welcome to another episode of Killer Innovations, the podcast that tells the story behind technology, creativity, and innovation. Today, we delve into the pressing global issue, the digital divide, and how innovative technology and connectivity provide solutions that will change people's lives. Joining us is a visionary leading the charge in this sphere, Mark Tibinas from VIA. Mark has been at the forefront of some remarkable projects, from creating digital identities for individuals in rural areas to using edge computing in some of Indonesia's least connected villages. His insights stem from extensive experience in the field, witnessing firsthand how powerful technologies, when rightly deployed, can transform communities. In our conversation, we will explore the role of technology in addressing the digital divide, highlighting the transformative impact of digital solutions in developing countries, such as Rwanda and Indonesia. We will discuss the potential of technologies like smart agriculture and streaming services, the importance of broadband access, and the role of partnerships in increasing digital solution adoption. We will also explore the Rural Cloud Initiative, a promising project to bring precision agriculture to farms through partnerships with companies like Microsoft and Honeywell. But before we jump into this week's episode, follow, like, and share. Do this. Follow, like, and share us on your favorite social media platforms. This is a great way to help us reach more people and spread the word about the podcast. And if you're not receiving the free weekly newsletter, visit philmckinney.com, click on membership, and sign up. Now, let's dive in to this week's episode. So, Mark, how's the show going for you here at Expo?
This show has been really remarkable for VIA. So we are introducing an important innovation that we've done in conjunction with Cable Labs. So we've been working with them for over 2 years at this point to bring a technology called Cable Labs Commercial Connectivity to the market. We originally worked with Liberty Latin America, Cable Labs, and VIA in a co-innovation project in Panama in 2021. We successfully deployed this technology in a 6-week period to live users in Panama, and it was intended to close the digital divide. So Liberty Latin America was trying to reach out to communities that they couldn't cost effectively get to, and it turns out the Cable Labs custom connectivity is the ideal solution. And the response from the people in their homes to be able to use the internet from their homes, from devices other than just a mobile phone, the reaction for the people was just amazing. And it literally brought tears to my eyes when I saw the people react to being able to use large format devices to do homework, for instance.
Right. The educational gap.
It was just incredible. And we were able to do streaming to the TV. So this community had nothing other than 480p dish kind of solutions. And they saw streaming, full HD over this service that was delivered via Wi-Fi into their home. And they were just like blown away.
Yeah, it was interesting because when the trial was going on, it started off just thinking that it was going to be a trial.
Correct.
And then it turned into being, we're not turning it off.
That's also true.
Be careful what you test.
Right.
It could go production.
And what's happened in the interim is we continue to work with Cable Labs to basically complete the specification, round out all aspects of it. And it's one of these things where it was a far richer design than I think the Cable Labs folks even appreciated. It's modeled after the same, kind of network components that you have in a mobile network.
Right.
So you have a controller that actually provides the logic and the policy kind of management, and then you have a agent that sits in the edge device that does the policy enforcement, actually does the security of of all of the device connections. And it just changes the way carriers or anybody can connect devices to networks.
Well, it also allows, because typically in the past when you just kind of do extend your Wi-Fi antenna, the problem you have is policy management.
Correct.
Right? Based on what service those end customers, and you want to make sure that you don't get into network saturations or abusive users, on the network that are negatively impacting somebody else.
So the Cable Labs technology, it's based on a long-standing technology they've been working on called micronets that emerged from the Cable Labs security team.
Yep.
And it is focused on how do you securely connect to devices.
And how do you segment and slice the network?
Exactly.
Yep.
And what it turns out is there's a couple of missing pieces when it comes to addressing the digital divide.
Yep.
So there are three key elements. You've got, the accessibility of the service, the cost of the service, clearly the affordability. But one of the key things that as we've traveled around states in the United States trying to close the digital divide for rural broadband initiative, but around the world, the thing that we're finding is most important is the adoption. How do you get people that are not digital citizens onto the network to become digital citizens? So when it comes to creating an identification for people that have never had the internet, they don't have an email address.
Right.
They likely don't have a mobile phone. They have nothing in order to tie them to the service. So we also understand, and the Cable Labs product gave us that in the controller, the ability to create that digital identity, and then we can create great products off of that digital identity. You can add new services to the device.
So in that case, you don't have the requirement that they got to register from an email address that they don't have.
They can't. That's right. They can't.
Yeah, it's well, and let's talk a little bit about the digital divide, because it's a global issue. It's not just in the developing countries or
that's correct.
Smaller countries.
And
how much money? Look at the was it 42 billion U.S. government's allocating for rural unserved markets, people who are remote, who don't have access to broadband in the United States, and it's 18% of homes in the U.S. do not have broadband of any kind.
Yeah, and that also it speaks to the fact that the other issues are many people do not have permanent addresses. So current ways of delivering services, other than using a mobile device as the device, those basically can't deal with those people without permanent addresses. They also can't deal with the unbanked wall.
Right.
So again, the Cable Labs technology and the control platform gave us the ability to address those parts of the adoption problem as well.
Right, because the Panama trial included testing of a prepay model.
Full
kind of
prepay.
Doing the whole scratch card thing.
Exactly,
right?
And we actually just reused. I'm a big guy about reuse. Take standard protocols and reuse them for non-standard ways.
Right. Well, particularly when the market is used to doing prepay. Right.
So in that case, we just reused the existing prepaid system they use for mobile and made it for home broadband.
Right.
Same scratch card system, same distribution of those scratch cards.
Same re-upping their accounts.
Exactly.
All of that.
And the benefit of that, working with the unbanked, is that they can budget when they have available resources. They can budget it, and that whole program allowed people to buy a 1-week scratch card, and they could have multiple devices attached to that scratch card. And within the Cable Labs technology, those devices can talk to each other. Mm-hmm. So if you have a streaming stick in your home, your device, your mobile device, or your laptop or tablet can stream content to your TV.
Right.
So that trust domain.
At the same time, though, the other devices that are also on that service, because you're on a separate segmented network.
Correct. They can't see your traffic.
You're protected.
That's correct. And that's a real game changer when it comes to addressing that demographic. So for the show, this has been kind of a wake-up call to the industry. So we're trying to make sure that the whole industry understands this technology, because we are really promoting the fact that We want hardware manufacturers to adopt it. We want, we really want the operators to see the value of it, because it is a game changer. And we're really happy when we were here and kind of announced the activities that we have. We've kind of caught the bus, as they say, so we
given that you're sitting in the bus.
Well, that's correct. So we had the good fortune. We have a strong partner in the Asia Pac region.
Okay.
And our founder, Alan Salmasi, who's one of the royalty of the mobile industry, as a founder of Qualcomm, and he was also the founder of NextWave, the fourth mobile carrier in the late 90s. He, basically has this incredible network of people around the globe, and he had already, set the wheels in motion in his, kind of experience. He saw the need for edge computing and connectivity that brings a blend together that allows you to bring services to the edge and also make sure those are converged services.
Right.
So that's really the essence of VIA. So in his wanderings through Asia Pac in the last 6 months, actually, we found an intersection to the entire Asia Pac region for this need. We were introduced to a group within Indonesia. Mm-hmm. They are responsible for the administration of technology in the least connected villages in Indonesia. And there are some 75,000 of them.
Yep.
45,000 are considered the really hard ones. And then, there are different gradations. And we were able to introduce this technology to this group called PT Bumdesa. So PT Bumdesa, has a consortium of 5,000 of those villages that they're looking to solve this problem in an urgent way in an initiative called the Digital Village Project that started in 2019. So we have the intersection of, our technology with the need. They've been trying to solve it in many, many different ways.
Well, this I do, my family, we have a small venture fund. We invest in entrepreneurs in developing countries. Plenty of money rolling around the U.S. Don't need to do the angel investing thing. But and the one question that comes up when you talk about bringing technologies and innovations to solve those kinds of problems, many people are under the mistaken opinion that you either do good or have profit. And I've always argued that it's not the case. If you really understand the problem and you innovate to solve the problem, that problem includes making the innovation sustainable, meaning there's enough money to continue to invest and improve. It's not a one and done and you're doing it as a charity, but there's a real business there. So talk, given that you're the chief commercial officer, some of these villages, I'm assuming, may not even be able to afford the basic infrastructure, right? So.
Absolutely. And the thing that we're also really looking at is making sure that after, if you do have some kind of subsidy that starts to get the infrastructure in place, you've got to have a working business model that makes it sustainable once those subsidies have gone.
Right.
So that's been a big part of it. And that was really one of the things that when we were working with Liberty Latin America, that was a really critical part of the strategy to make sure that if they use any kind of subsidization to get the equipment rolled out, we can make it on the actual revenue, which we're very low. So we're looking at ARPU's less than $20 as the typical user of the service. In Indonesia, we're looking at ARPU's less than $7.
Well, the Cable Labs members that make up China, the average ARPU is $6, and that's video and data combined at $6. Yeah. And China does it profitably. They'll argue that they don't have, and the margin is tight, but margin's tight everywhere.
Yep.
But the operators still have to get the return on that capital spend.
Correct.
Right. Otherwise, they're not going to extend it. It's a one-time experiment, whatever it is.
Right. So I think we haven't totally cracked the code, but we're working with a a lot of investors that see the promise of this. And the other thing is, with the VIA technology, we also can provide enhanced services.
Right.
So, and it's almost like when you look at rural broadband, or you look at Indonesia, you really have the next one is food security is such a critical thing that's going on at this point. So we can actually bring in smart ag tech that's actually running at the edge because of the VIA Edge platform. So every one of our connectivity boxes also is a server. So we have a quad-core Linux server, and we're going to have more and more models that actually bring more compute to the edge.
This is interesting because I'm way back in the day, I built the first mobile networks in India. And one of the applications that took off that really drove people getting their first phones was ag. And it was around a very simple app. This is pre-smartphones.
Sure.
And it just reported the current market price for commodities. And then the farmer could look at it. Because remember, farmers may not even be literate.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? They understand numbers. So we'd show a picture of a commodity and the current price in the market. And then the farmer knew, do I harvest today?
Yep.
Do I go to market today? Do I not go to market? And then those farmers who had that app had a distinct advantage over the farmers who didn't have that app.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden it just was a wildfire. You got to find that one thing. And I think ag it's an interesting...
Well, it seems to be hand in glove, and then we see healthcare and education.
Yep.
Those are kind of third.
Yep.
Infotainment also being very interested, but that's harder to serve.
Right.
So we are seeing that being the hand in glove between the connectivity and ag, and we've been working with a thing called the Rural Cloud Initiative for 3 years as well. So it's a U.S. focused at this point. 400 companies are a part of great companies like Microsoft, Honeywell, have been partnering with us to bring precision agriculture to the farms. And the difference that the Rural Cloud Initiative is looking at is almost becoming a lingua franca, because there's already a lot of great ag tech coming from John Deere and all of the Land O'Lakes. All these people have brought some great technologies out, but there is no way to normalize that data and bring it back. And the farmer's going to have tractors from Case. They're going to have tractors, and they can't have the app roulette that goes on.
And it drives them nuts.
Correct.
We've been doing a project at Cable Labs that we call FarmSys. How do you extend DOCSIS into rural agriculture?
Fantastic.
And Daryl Mallis, who came up with this project, grew up in rural Iowa, Kansas, right? His whole family's been farmers. His cousins still have the farms and all that. And the struggle, right? You got different manufacturers, of their farm equipment. And up until recently, they couldn't even do the repair work on their own equipment.
Sure.
And they had the no repair policies in place.
Yep.
But I think getting all of industries, whether cable, we've done a very good job over the years of standards, interfaces, interoperability, plug and play, etc. That needs to happen across. We've in Cable Labs for the last 8 years. We've been trying to do that with healthcare.
Absolutely.
Right. How do you get a Philips medical device to work with a Roche device?
Yep.
In
Absolutely.
the same.
And those use cases are exactly what VIA has been working over the last, since the company's been in existence since 2014.
Yep.
And we've been looking for the killer app for this edge platform.
Yep.
And we've done the medical, we've done smart city, we've done all these things to find scale, and now we've hit the mother lode, in our opinion. Right now, our target addressable market is 500 million people. For the solution that we introduced with Cable Labs.
Yep.
So we literally have eyes on 60 million of those people. Mm-hmm. Okay. We have eyes on, we have programs going on, and we're now looking to get the financing vehicle necessary to light the match.
So is there been a lot of interest in the U.S., or has it all been outside the U.S.?
I think in the U.S. now that we've had we've been part of this Rural Cloud Initiative, which was more smart ag focused rather than connectivity focused. And we were kind of wondering why we weren't getting the traction that we were hoping to. There is a big project in North Dakota that was signed off by Governor Burgum before he announced his run for the presidency. So that's called the Dakota ICP program.
Right. Yep.
Microsoft's a partner in there.
Midco's part of that.
Yeah. So we're building a 250 square mile innovation zone. A lot of smart agriculture, but it's a fiber plus CBRS overlay. So it's really a great showcase for all of these technologies coming together. So in the U.S. we've had that. What we're now finding is we need to focus on the connectivity first.
Right.
So we've been traveling with our partners to focus on the connectivity. Let's make sure that the smart ag becomes a amplifier for the value once the infrastructure is in place. So we flipped our model from VIA's perspective, and it's taking a lot of hold. So Indiana, especially, and Virginia are two very advanced states in their broadband build-outs.
Yep.
And they get the fact that once you introduce the VIA technology, we can increase the community economy. We can bring in these other applications. And another key thing, and it's really become very apparent to me, you have to have the boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So if you don't have an approach to help people understand the technology, do break fix in the event that you do have problems on it, you can't really scale.
Yeah.
And in Indonesia, we have this group, PT Bumdesa. They have an agent in every village that's actually the person that helps to educate, helps to promote, and actually can help the farmers understand these technologies.
Yeah, I mean, in your point about you can have availability and affordability, which have always been the two cruxes, at least from an innovator's perspective, you focus on. But we've seen this, like for the instance, here in the U.S., the government will provide subsidized broadband, right? So you can apply, and all the operators accept the certificate funding, right? And you can get a $20, broadband to your home, those types of things.
But the adoption's a huge problem.
Right.
We're really fortunate to be working with Ryan Palmer at Microsoft, who's leading the Airband initiative. Microsoft has a commitment of trying to add 250 million people to the digital society by 2025.
Yeah, you're talking about the Microsoft white space.
Well, they've actually shifted. They're kind of they're agnostic.
They're agnostic.
They're agnostic now.
It was the white space work was started by me and Craig Mundy when Craig was CTO at Microsoft.
Oh, fantastic!
He and I would go to the FCC, and there's we actually have Cable Labs members who use white space, like up near Wisconsin, over Peninsula, Michigan,
sure.
Those kinds of things. But now with new spectrum in the form of CBRS and other spectrum bands becoming available, there's a lot of options, to reach. But again, keeping that cost down.
Yeah, and we're totally mid-mile agnostic. We're network agnostic.
Yeah, you don't care,
and we really don't. It's just like how do you get the connection? But
how do you really? What's the magic on adoption? Assuming we've worked together and there's other solutions out there to get the availability, and there's different ways to address the affordability. How do you get the adoption?
It's Mary Kay Cosmetics or Tupperware. That's the model you have to have. You
literally got to have someone like shoulder to shoulder with
people
the people
in the community that become the ambassadors for the thing. And we're like I say, the partners that we're working with, we're really seeking the people that have.
Does that mean it has to be staff, or do you partner with local community groups and get them to sponsor?
Exactly. So in Africa, we're partnering with a company that has relationships with farm cooperatives to get this technology out. They're partnering with a farm cooperative and providing a novel device as a service, doing exactly the service that you're talking about, which is giving the farmer that knowledge about what's happening up the chain.
Right.
So that exact use case that you're talking about. So they basically use that farm cooperative to do the training and to spread the knowledge about the app. And we're about to augment what they already have by adding this Cable Labs technology in Africa and focus on Nigeria, Ghana, and Zimbabwe. So
Yeah, well, I'm not one of my family. Our largest investment from our fund is in Rwanda,
oh wow,
and we're rural Rwanda. We're in Bugesera region, lakeside fish farms, largest fish farm in Rwanda, and one of the largest in sub-Saharan Africa. And the challenge we had was there was no electricity,
yeah,
and no cell coverage, no broadband, nothing.
Yep.
So I and the investors, I have 21 investors with me on the pool. We paid for electrification all the way out to the fish farm. Well, in the process, we electrified 3 villages on the way, right? Well, it totally transformed the economy in those villages. Then Vanu Bose, who's a friend of mine,
and mine as well,
and Vanu and I worked together on the recovery in Katrina for New Orleans. I was there under the Bush administration to do the relaunch of, and Vanu was instrumental to the recovery. And a lot of people just don't even know what he did.
Yeah.
And then with my investment in Rwanda, Vanu was always interested in what was going on there. When I explained to him, we brought the Vanu products to Rwanda and introduced them to the administration, and they won the contract to do wireless, bring mobile to the rural areas.
Fantastic.
And it was transformative. Funny part is, my deal with Vanu was the fish farm was covered first.
That always works.
It always works.
That's right.
You got to take advantage of that. But like for us at the fish farm, it was transformative because we've got the fish farm 30 ponds, but our market was in Kigali. It's an hour and 15 minutes away.
Fantastic.
So the ability to have the staff at the stores be able to communicate to the fish farm for the next day's production, reduced waste by orders of magnitude and increased efficiencies and all of this. I mean, when my wife and I go over there, you look at the electrification, the impact it's had on people's lives, it's just transformative. But I will tell you that this gets back to this. Do you do it for good or are you doing it for profit? With those technologies being made available to the fish farm, albeit the motive for the fish farm was really to be able to reinvest into the community, that fish farm is pretty darn profitable.
I'll bet.
Pretty darn profitable. And you're kind of sitting there going, okay, it's social innovation, but it's not a charity.
That's right.
Right? And this is one of my passions, which is innovating on understanding the real social challenges and innovating. And I think this digital divide, the picture I dance around, or we talk a lot about inside of Cable Labs, is that picture of the 2 sisters sitting outside the Taco Bell stealing the Wi-Fi because they got to do their homework.
Yep.
And they don't have any broadband at their house. And I'm like, I never want to see that picture broadcast ever again.
Yeah.
How do we solve that digital divide? But adoption is the problem.
In certain cultures, that's impossible.
Yeah.
So especially in, a lot of countries, so bringing the broadband to the home is essential to really unlock the females in many cultures.
Exactly.
They can't go to a central place to even get connected.
Correct.
So, we're seeing that, as a key benefit as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think I get excited about the digital divide and the approaches to solving. I worry about the government BEAD funding because it's hard to distribute that much money. And when you physically got to dig ditch to deliver those networks.
And that's, we're trying to accelerate the value, especially because of the heavier pressure on food security because of geopolitical conflict that's going on has really disrupted the supply chains. And the effects are just now starting to be felt because there were, stocks available, but it's going to really accelerate the problem, which we were seeing 2050 being, we got to get this technology in place to increase productivity while we can actually make farming more sustainable using these technologies. But this is now accelerated, and I think we're talking, in the next 10 years, the next 8 years, this stuff has to have an impact. And we can't wait for the BEAD funding to do it. Nope. So we're looking at techniques to accelerate the availability of these technologies on the farms.
Right.
And then as the network catches up,
right,
we can just basically connect to a lower cost
Correct.
at that point. So Correct. We're looking at those mechanisms to try to speed the benefits to the communities up early. And everything that's being done in Indonesia is likely satellite-based. So right now we're using Starlink in some of the initial villages.
I have the new high-performance Starlink antenna on the roof of my bus.
Right.
Love it.
That's fantastic.
Love it. It's been fantastic.
Because of the situation there, the pipe for the first villages that we're in is only 10 megabits down, shared across 250 people.
Yeah.
So the Cable Labs technology allows us to slice that and create that fair use of that resource, and it still works with 200 people on it, which is awesome.
Well, it is, and people tend to think, I got to have big pipe because I want to stream. You look at the advances on streaming; it is amazing what you can do with even a 4K
adaptive bit rate,
adaptive bit rate, those types of things. And so, we did a test during COVID for some of the governments in Latin America. They wanted to know what was the minimum bit rate for Zoom and Microsoft Teams and WebEx, and so we did this study and we made it available to the governments. Because when COVID was happening, they were all concerned about how much bandwidth do they need to serve students in their home for remote. And it's amazing. You can do a Zoom call over 800 kilobits.
Yep.
800 kilobits. And you had full video. This isn't just audio. That's video at 800 kilobits. It's amazing.
It is.
The technologies today. But, again, I think addressing that digital divide, I think the trial in Panama was fantastic. I gotta tell you, our team was just beside themselves. It's always different, right? We are a lab, right? But being able to go out there and actually, see people and go eyeball to eyeball to somebody that your innovation actually impacts.
Yeah, I've been building platform-based technologies my whole career, and it's always that killer app. And I just got a sense when I saw what the promise of this was, that it was going to be a killer app. And the teams worked together really, really well, including the team from Liberty Latin America.
Yep.
I really have to pay kudos to them. And the fact we went from kind of the first yes, we're going to do this, to having our product on poles in Panama, actually providing services in 6 weeks. It was a remarkable thing,
right?
And it just convinced VIA to make the additional investments. We were the first licensee of the technology in January of this year, and now we're bringing out in full commercial production across these networks, and we're just seeing just so much interest in it. We're extremely excited to see that. And yesterday during a presentation that I did, I was warning the poor Cable Labs guys. It's this is really gonna hit, boys. we still got work to do. So,
well, and these are the kinds of innovations that go beyond just simply, the products or services. It turns into a little bit of a mission.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Because you can transform people's lives that have no option to get online and be part of the global economy.
Yep.
If you're not connected to broadband, you're not on the global economy.
Oh, it's
you are
absolutely
at a distinct
true.
disadvantage. So to wrap this up, I always end with one question. It's typically unexpected, so be prepared. But it's also about opening the eyes of the listeners about things that you're looking at. So what are you most curious about now? Things that you're just thinking about that are that could be, but future. What are you curious about? That's kind of tickling in the back of your brain that you find interesting, exciting.
I've really been blessed to be surrounded by some of the most prolific innovators in my career. I kind of liken myself to Forrest Gump. You'll see me in the background, in a lot of different times, and I was, side by side with some really incredible innovators. Some of the challenges that I've been really kind of fascinated by is, energy, energy supplies, and I had a good fortune of being a partner with one of the people that was recognized as one of the global experts in doing carbon sequestration. And he had a company called PowerSpan, a gentleman named Frank Alex. Brilliant guy. And, he started to study Tesla stuff and came to the conclusion that, you could, produce energy from the atmosphere. So totally free energy. And I think he's got it licked. Wow. So I've kind of looked at what he's up to, and the promise of that, and we're starting to see these potential energy innovations occur. Yeah. I had a chance to work with Dean Kamen for a while, and he was focused.
Dean's a friend of mine.
Yeah, he was focusing on trying to solve water in Africa.
In Africa, then he did the partnering deal with Coke in order to get the Stirling engines deployed.
I was part of the Stirling engine project early on.
Okay.
He was looking at the use case of using them to back up cell towers. So
we work with him on the medical side, securing the network,
Yep.
security key management, key distribution.
Yep.
For in-home hemodialysis.
Yeah, so I feel so blessed to have a chance to work side by side with some of these people, and
I'll just sit around and just listen to Dean.
It's like, fascinating.
Okay, keep your notepad.
But when I think of the areas, I'm really as I'm hopefully on the tail side of my career. Obviously the things that are important to me right now. My children are the gift from God. And, everything I'm thinking about is what's going to impact their lives. And it's water, food, energy. We need to solve those problems. I mean,
for me, I have 5 grandkids. Everything's about them.
Absolutely.
Everything is about what do you leave? What's your legacy? And we all have a legacy to live. Where do we commit our time? Where do we commit our energy to create something that makes the world a better place?
Yep.
When we leave. So, hey, Mark, really appreciate you taking the time joining us here on the Kill Innovation Show, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks very much.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
Bye now.
That brings us to the end of another episode of Killer Innovations. Thank you to our guest today, Mark Timenis from VIA, for sharing his professional insights and experiences. We're particularly grateful for his vision of using technology to bridge the digital divide and make the world a better place. Thank you. Thank you, Mark, for reminding us of the transformative power of innovation. And to you, our valued listener, we extend our utmost appreciation for your time. It's because of your support and curiosity that we continue to explore pressing global issues and the power of innovation to address them. Now we'd like to ask for a small favor. If you've enjoyed today's episode and found it valuable, we'd love for you to help us spread the word about Killer Innovations. Please share the podcast with your friends and colleagues on social media. It's a great way to help us reach more people who are passionate about technology, creativity, and the power of innovation to transform lives and societies. And if you're not receiving the free newsletter, visit philmckinney.com and click on membership. This will keep you updated on all the latest happenings, insights, and innovative solutions discussed on the podcast and in all of the writings. Thank you again for tuning in to Killer Innovations. We are thrilled to have you as part of our community, and we look forward to having you with us on the next episode. Until then, remember that innovation isn't just about creating new things. It is about changing lives. Make your mark. Leave a legacy, and let's change the world together. Bye-bye.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, This has been the Killer Innovation Show on the Innovators Network.